everybody. Welcome to Threepcast, episode 7. On this episode, we're going to be talking about Simon the Sorcerer. I'm Elliott.
And I'm Anton.
And in addition to Simon the Sorcerer, we're also going to be covering some new adventure game news and other fun assorted things.
Yeah! Just the good stuff.
Just the good stuff. We've cut out all the boring bits. Mm-hmm. Just kept the good parts for you guys.
Just for you. We work hard here at Threepcast.
So hard. So, hard, Anton. Work hard, yes. Play hard, yes.
Yes.
Anton, how has your life been since the most recent episode?
Well,
getting tongue-tied already. This is a bad start.
So I basically died to the world and went into lockdown mode and did research for like 2 weeks. And then I passed a scary deadline. Now I'm alive again, and I played Simon the Sorcerer. Also, the other important life event, the life milestone that's happened in the last month, is that Nintendo decided to release the new 3DS with faceplates. And I've been waiting for this for like a year, and it's finally happening, and I'm so happy. And it's in the mail right now. Yeah.
Do you know where it is exactly?
It is in Oklahoma City. First, it was in Kentucky, and then it was in Tennessee. And they moved to a different city in Tennessee, and now it's in Oklahoma City.
So is this going to be one of those things where you get it and you put it on your DS, and then you're just like, it's aight?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Well, it's supposed to, the new 3DS actually is supposed to have better processing power, so some of the games like Monster Hunter that really push the system to its limits will probably run a little bit better. I guess, which will be fun.
See, I thought you were just getting faceplates. You're getting a whole new DS?
Well, it's the 3DS that's compatible with the faceplates. It's like you can import the faceplates, but they don't attach to any 3DSs.
Okay.
Except the special
all right,
one.
I thought... Okay, this makes a little more sense. I thought that you were sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for pieces of plastic to come in the mail so you could put it on your DS.
It's the actual console.
Okay, well, that makes a little more sense.
I couldn't import it because Nintendo region locks all of their systems now.
Right.
Like, I can't get it. And Nintendo, please, Reggie, why? But now Reggie has heard my pleas, and life is good.
Okay, I guess I should. Did you say that already? That
what?
It was the faceplates DS, not the faceplates.
Yeah. It was the faceplates. The console itself, it comes in a package with 2 pairs of faceplates, and I already have a third pair. So I'm ready to faceplates. I will change it out every single day because I can.
All right. Sounds good. I should pay more attention. Like, as soon as you say faceplates, I just kind of like turn into static on my end.
I've been complaining about it for so long that at this point I don't say it. I just start saying I can't wait for faceplates. It's just like
and then I start thinking about other things. Like, did I go to Wendy's twice today? Cool. Well, my life since the last episode of Threepcast has pretty much been going to work and eating and working on Earthbound.
Those are 3 important things.
The 3 most important things in life. But I have good news. As we speak, Earthbound Episode 6 Part 2 is going through the final stages of being prepared for all you foos on the internet.
Yay!
I am uploading what is almost the final cut for final sound balance checks and sending it to a few people to make sure everything's hunky-dory. And within a few days, it will be public for everyone to enjoy. So probably by the time you're listening to this, Earthbound Episode 6 will be out. So go watch it.
And you all may be wondering, how far will this episode go into the plot of the game?
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to watch and find out.
Oh.
Ha 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 ha.
Didn't think you'd say that.
Ha 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 ha. That's all I got.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else interesting that's happened this month. Yeah.
How's life in the desert?
Oh, it's living in the desert.
Do tumbleweeds roll by your office every day?
Oh, yes.
You just have this window in front of your desk that just like is desert and like those little cactuses and tumbleweeds, and that's the view. Okay.
Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
You get to watch them go at it every day.
Sounds like
Bugs
the best
Bunny
job.
comes by asking if he can make a left turn at Albuquerque. So yeah, let's move on to news.
Here's the news. Another action-filled adventure. All the worst from the World Convention.
Okay, so here's the latest adventure game news from the month of September. Sorry, I had to burp. Let me try that again.
This is the news.
Here's the news. Another action-filled adventure. All the worst from the World Convention.
Okay. So, we're going to talk about a couple of... Okay.
Here's the news. Another action-filled adventure. All the worst from the World Convention.
All right, so here's a few pieces of adventure game news that have... That was your fault.
Okay, that was
Okay, I'm not going to look at the monitor. Now I've got the giggles.
Here's the news. Another action-filled adventure. All the worst from the World Convention.
All right, so here's a few pieces of adventure game news that have come out in the last month. As per usual, the latest scrap of Day of the Tentacle Special Edition news. Double Fine recently announced that the rumored mostly complete version that the LucasArts Korea team was working on, this was the team that did the Monkey Island 1 and 2 special editions. It was rumored that they had a Day of the Tentacle special edition that was about 80% complete, and then Double Fine was just going to salvage what they did. But it sounds like Double Fine is not going to use any of their assets. They're building their new Day of the Tentacle totally from the ground up. So, what do you have to say about them apples?
Well, so when I read the article on Mix and Mojo about it, and they made it sound like they were careful to not confirm or deny the existence of the previous build of the game, but rather just to emphasize that this version of the game will be using all new assets. But they can't say yes or no.
I think, well...
Oh, yeah, but other than that...
In this particular article, they're not confirming or denying the existence of this other game, but I think in a previous post they did confirm that it existed.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I think that, like, a while ago they did confirm that.
I just hope that they stick to the Chuck Jones art style that it felt like they were going for in the original game.
Right, that's my hope.
That would be really cool.
Whoever's working on the Double Fine team for this, that they should be aware of like what the game's original influences were, hopefully. So I would hope that they would like lean even closer to that kind of Looney Tunes look instead of trying to go in some totally different direction.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Also, I apologize. I said it was the Korea team. Actually, it was from Singapore. So
wow,
my bad. Got my countries confused.
You know, Eastern Asia.
Somewhere over there by Japan.
I saw a globe recently, and I was like, "Is Japan that big?" This has been my life experiences. For some reason, I just thought it was these tiny islands, but they're actually substantially larger than I thought.
Yeah, Anton, I just recently heard you're going to Japan, aren't you?
I am going to Japan, sort of.
That is so exciting.
I'm going to Singapore, coincidentally,
right.
for a computer science conference. And then on the way back, the plane goes through the Japan International Airport. So I'm just going to stick around there for like a day and just horse around in Japan and then come back.
I'm pretty jealous.
It's going to be great. I'm going to buy so many faceplates. What I'm going to do, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get a giant luggage set and just go out and buy all of the amiibos, which are plentiful in Japan. and just get all this luggage and wear a black hat and some sunglasses and get through customs with all the amiibos, and then proceed to sell them all on eBay for $100 a pop, and it'll be great. I'll be filthy rich.
You could do that.
I could do it.
We're gonna have to have a section on the podcast, Anton's Japan report.
I didn't see any adventure games in Japan. It was all waifus.
It was all garbage tier
waifus.
Anyway, so that piece, like you said, that piece of Day of the Tentacle news was from Mix and Mojo. Something else from Mix and Mojo that I just noticed while I'm on their website. Apparently, Telltale is going to be re-releasing their Back to the Future game in honor of the movie's 30th anniversary that's coming up next month. And what's significant about this is that they got Tom Wilson, the guy who plays Biff Tannen in the movies, to do the voice of Biff in the game. Originally, it was done by an imitator, and so somehow they're now going to, I guess, re-record everything for Biff in the game. Using Tom Wilson, which should be amazing.
I just want to know if they're going to fix the disappearing DeLorean glitch.
Yeah, okay, well, see, the fact that they're re-releasing it as like a new edition, Back to the Future, the game 30th anniversary edition, I'm hoping that this means they'll fix all of the game-breaking bugs that were in it from the first. Well, okay, I guess game-breaking bug is a little extreme. There were several.
It breaks you out of the experience.
Yeah, it was there were several experience-breaking bugs. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should review Back to the Future.
Yeah, see, I've never played it. I just sort of saw you playing the first bit of it.
Right. I think that would be an interesting topic for an episode.
Yeah.
The other night, Anton and I were plotting out what games we want to do for the next couple of episodes, and we got kind of carried away. So I think we've got the next 12 months or so booked for adventure games.
Yeah,
but if you want to suggest
right,
it's fluid. If you want to suggest a game for us to play, let us know at podcast@ridgewayfilms.com, and we will work it into our schedule and play it and review it and love it.
We'll love all of your games, except you, Leisure Suit Larry. You get to sit outside on the porch in the snow. Think about what you've done.
Moving on. Speaking of Telltale, Good Old Games is currently having a Telltale 75% off sale for a bunch of Telltale games, like Puzzle Agent and Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People. So, if you are listening to this, it's currently September 26th. If you're listening to this within 5 days of us recording this, there is still time for you to get on Good Old Games and get these games at an insanely low discount.
Mad sales!
Mad sales!
You get Strong Bad and Hector Courage Bad Show and both Puzzle Agent games for like $15. So it's
right. And I've only played half of the games on this list. I've never played Hector, and I've never played Puzzle Agent 2.
I've always wanted to play Puzzle Agent. It really appealed to me when it came out, and they were like, "We're gonna make a WiiWare version," and I was like, "I like WiiWare. I will wait for the WiiWare version," and it never materialized. Then I just kind of never played it. We should.
I would like
review
to
it one of these days.
I would like to replay Puzzle Agent in light of having now seen Twin Peaks, because so much of stuff that you experience in culture can be traced back to Twin Peaks.
Mm.
And so I would like to... I think it's also got a pretty heavy Fargo influence. So I would like to go back and replay Puzzle Agent now that I've, gotten a little more familiar with where it got its, inspirations from.
Mm-hmm. All I know is that Alex thought the gnomes were spooky.
I mean, they were pretty spooky.
I never got the spook. They
played the spooky music whenever the gnomes showed up.
So that's how you knew they were spooky.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. What else? Armor Krog comes out in 4 days. Are you excited about that?
I am quite excited. I didn't back it, but it's I'll probably will buy it because it looks really cool.
For those of you who don't know, Armor Krog is the spiritual successor to The Neverhood, which was a claymation adventure game that came out in the 90s. That was, I think, Doug TenNapel, the guy who made Earthworm Jim, was involved in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an illegitimate copy of The Neverhood. I've just never gotten around to trying it. Can you obtain it legally now?
I don't think so.
Or is it still out of print?
I'm pretty sure it's out of print. I think I looked it up.
You have to go through clandestine means to get the game, or try to find it on eBay or something like that.
You go into a dark claymation alley.
You have to get on the dark web.
Oh.
So yeah, anyway, the Armacrog is like the pseudo sequel to the Neverhood. So it's also claymation, has the same kind of look, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I was very impressed from what I saw during the Kickstarter. So I will probably get.
All right, so Anton, do you have some adventure game news you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, some games came out. One of them was a game that I've been actually following the guy on Twitter for a while. He's Jay Tholen, and he made a game about a clown named Dropsy. And he just goes around and solves people's problems, and he hugs them. And it looks pretty cute.
So
I guess the premise of the game is that there's this ugly-looking clown, and then there's the circus burns down, and everybody blames him, but it wasn't really his fault. So everybody's angry at Dropsy, and he's just going around, and because he looks really ugly, everybody kind of shies away from him, and he just goes up and hugs things, and it's like you have to help people solve their problems, and then there's things that ensue, but I haven't played it, so it looks great.
So it is supposed to be a lighthearted, cute game, not a creepy game with clowns.
Yeah, it's not supposed to, it can appear creepy, and some of the trailers play that up, but I think that's kind of like part of the shtick is that he looks creepy, like a creepy clown, but he's not a creepy clown.
Okay. See, that was the vibe I got from the trailer. Was that it was supposed to be like, sort of like a black comedy kind of game.
No, everyone in the reviews universally said it was heartwarming, and the antidote to all of these cynical games we get these days. And it's the comments like that. And the entire game is done with no dialogue or like actual words in it. It's all done like by pictographs. Like that Homestar Runner, like Where's an Egg?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like Machinarium.
Like that too. Just all
cool.
Yeah. So it looks.
I watched the trailer, and the art style kind of reminded me of LucasArts. Like
that too.
Like
it
Day of the Tentacle, full throttle-y. So yeah, it looks cool. I'd like to try it someday.
And then the other game that came out that I think was also Kickstarter, that I don't know as much about it, is called Stasis. It's supposed to be a really good isometric horror adventure game. I watched the trailer, and it looks really gross. So I probably don't have the stomach for it, but if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. It's supposedly a must-play for fans of sci-fi space horror games. And I guess you play this dude, and you go around, and there's creepy things, and you uncover them. And there's lots of body horror and cutting, and there's I know this because there's a picture on the Steam page with this guy with his spinal cord sliced open, while he's typing on a computer, so you know it's extra cyberpunk.
Lovely.
Yeah, so if that sounds like your jam, it exists.
Stasis. Everybody. Yeah, it's too bad that our creepy Halloween slot for next month is already booked.
With the finest of wines of
the finest of horror adventure games. More on that later.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned till the end of the episode. I think that's it for the news. That was a lot of news. Before we started recording, I was complaining to Anton. I was going through Adventure Gamers looking at news from the last month. I was complaining, man, nothing happened this month. But hey, we found some stuff.
Yeah. Just for you.
Just for you. Only the finest
out of that orange of life.
To give you the finest fresh orange juice.
No pulp.
No pulp. Let's talk about Simon the Sorcerer now.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I kind of blew it. Anton was saying that we should include an intermission in the podcast to kind of give you guys a mental break. So we're going to do an intermission, and then when we get back, we're going to review Simon the Sorcerer.
What?
Okay, we're back,
We back.
and we are ready to review Simon the Sorcerer.
Simon.
Let's see. Do you want to talk about Simon the Sorcerer first, or do you want to talk about AdventureSoft? So here's the deal. What was originally requested for this episode by one of our listeners, Ubaldo, he asked if we would not only talk about Simon the Sorcerer, but look into some fun facts about AdventureSoft, the company that made Simon the Sorcerer. So we'd like to do that as well.
Let's talk about that first, then get to Simon, and then
That's a good
in on
idea.
Simon's puzzles. Zoom in gradually on the what will undoubtedly be the focal point of this cast.
Right. Yeah, I have a feeling that the spoiler zone is going to be a long one on this one.
Oh gosh,
We're
yeah.
gonna have some nice little like boilerplate statements about Simon without talking about anything specific, and then we're just gonna unload as soon as we get to-
Let's slip the dogs of war.
Right. Okay, so AdventureSoft. This is the company that made Simon the Sorcerer. They're based out of the United Kingdom. As far as I know, they are still around and kicking. Their website is still up, and it looks like you can still order Simon the Sorcerer 1, 2, and 3 directly from the company, and as well as some of their older games, which is kind of cool.
They have the iOS port on the front page of their site, so I guess they're at least
So somebody's still updating it.
Yeah, exactly. At least as alive as that.
The company was founded by Mike Woodruff, who worked on Simon the Sorcerer, and I'm assuming his brother Simon Woodruff. Simon Woodruff is now head creative director person at Rare, which is kind of interesting. Rare, as most gamers know, did
Cool stuff.
The bulk of the best Nintendo games from the 90s, like Donkey Kong Country and GoldenEye, Diddy Kong Racing.
Hey
all those.
man, what about Charlie's Blast Territory? Or the Miles...
Or Iggy's Wrecking
What was
Ball.
that Astro Lanes game?
Milo's Astro.
Yeah, those classics of our time.
So anyway, Simon Woodruff is in some kind of like head position at Rare now, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool beans. It's weird because like you don't think about those two things kind of crossing over.
Yeah.
Like Simon the Sorcerer and then Rare.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe we'll get the ultimate Simon the Sorcerer Rare crossover game.
Yeah, that would be cool.
What else?
Oh,
Originally, AdventureSoft was called HorrorSoft because they were developing horror games, including one called Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Unfortunately, again, we're booked for the Halloween episode.
maybe next year, Elvira.
Maybe next year, Elvira. So I guess they decided they wanted to do other games besides horror, so they changed their name from HorrorSoft to AdventureSoft.
Maybe for the best.
Their first game was a tie-in game for the film Gremlins, which came out in 1984. I don't know if that was an adventure game or not.
I don't know.
I think that's about it for interesting facts.
So I've heard tell that they only did the first 3 Simon games.
Right.
How did they not? Or how did the rights get transferred to whoever does it now, or has been doing it?
That is a good question. I'm going to look up Simon the Sorcerer 4, which was the first one not developed by them, and see if it has anything.
Yeah.
No, it literally has nothing on this Wikipedia article. It says that it was developed by Silver Style Entertainment and released by RTL Enterprises. It doesn't have anything about why they took over developing the game or.
I'm going to assume that somebody was like got their arm broken in a dark alley and had some toes cut off, and now that's how rights get transferred.
Simon the Sorcerer 4 is appropriate for ages 3 and up.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, Simon the Sorcerer 4 and 5 are kind of interesting for a couple of reasons. The company that developed them has gone into insolvency. So I actually tried looking into this a few days ago to see if these games were still available. Simon the Sorcerer 4 is still available on Good Old Games.
Mhm.
However, Simon the Sorcerer 5 is not available anywhere, as far as I can tell. There are no copies on eBay.
Oh god.
The company doesn't exist anymore. It's not being digitally distributed by anybody. The only way I can figure out to get this game now is to just torrent it from a shady website
Shady
of
business.
some.
That's a
So-
sad thing. We need to find this poor disowned game and play it just to give it some probably angry comments.
I really would like to just go through the whole Simon the Sorcerer
Yeah.
franchise because it's a really interesting kind of like up and down kind of franchise.
If we get play one game per year, we'll be there in time for 2020 or something.
Yeah. So yeah, for those interested in playing the other Simon the Sorcerer games, 5 you're just out of luck. 4 is on Good Old Games, and 1, 2, 3 you can still get from the company.
Yeah, and
You can also
they're
get-
all on Good Old Games except 5.
Right, except for 5.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where I got them.
And something else interesting I found out about Simon the Sorcerer while I was looking up information about it is apparently Simon the Sorcerer 6 is currently in development by yet another company
Oh yeah.
who's working directly with the Woodruff brothers in making sure that they get the tone right. Because I remember hearing some talk when 4 and 5 came out that it wasn't really capturing the spirit of the early games. So these guys are apparently they're big fans of the original games and they're being really careful to make sure they get it right. So the company is called Story Beasts, and I apologize, I didn't do as much research as I probably should have
That's
before
okay.
recording this. From what I gather, they're getting ready to do a Kickstarter for Simon the Sorcerer 6, but they're still not quite ready to do that.
Yeah, I kind of
So
trolled around on their blog earlier. It sounds like they're prepping for the Kickstarter. They're sort of trying to
Right.
accumulate a little bit of a following before they do that.
right.
So it's like they released some music they had been recording, and they had like the original design for Simon, and then all the fans were like, "This isn't looking like we imagined Simon." So they're like, "Okay," and they went back and actually redesigned the character to make him look
Mhm.
more like people thought he should, and it actually looked a lot better.
Right.
This-
That's the great thing about the Kickstarter platform.
Mhm.
Whatever else you might say about Kickstarter's faults and flaws, it gives you it completely eradicates the barrier between the
Yeah.
developer and the fan base. So, the fans pretty much can say, we like this, we don't like this, and, they have a lot more control over,
Mhm.
the final content of the game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time the developers can get distant and just stop paying attention to the fans. But it's like there's a little bit. You start off on a little bit more open basis,
Right.
just because
right.
of the pitch format.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Also, they said that they're going to try to get Chris Berry back as the voice of Simon.
Yes.
Chris Berry is a British actor who's apparently pretty famous outside of Simon the Sorcerer, and they haven't used his voice since the first game. And personally, from what I've heard of the other Simon voices, Chris Berry's my favorite. So
See, I don't
guy
remember
who-
what he sounds like in Simon 2, but I liked him pretty well in this one.
his voice is a little lower in Simon 2 and 3. It's voiced by a different actor.
yeah.
I think his name is Brian Bowles. Yeah, he's all right. I just prefer Chris Berry.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have anything against the other Simon. They're both good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's probably pretty much all you wanted to know about the Simon the Sorcerer franchise.
Did-
I'm excited they're making another one
Yeah.
because I like these games. I like the sense of
Mhm,
humor.
mhm. Me too. I'm pretty pumped. I definitely watch out for the Kickstarter.
Yes. All right. Do you want to do Wikipedia reading?
Yeah.
Simon the
It's
Sorcerer.
a
1?
fine tradition, a fine Threepcast tradition.
Yes. Phil's not here, so we're gonna Wikipedia away.
We're
this
gonna keep
puppy.
Wikipediaing Phil until you come back and be on an episode.
Right.
That was good.
Do you want to put me on the 90-minute timer or the 90-second timer?
I'll put you on the 90-minute timer and the 90-second timer. All right, ready, SETI. Are you ready, SETI?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go.
Simon the Sorcerer is an adventure game that was released by AdventureSoft in 1993 for Amiga and DOS. The game's name comes from the account of Simon the Sorcerer in Acts 8 from the Bible. The game includes parodies of various popular books and fairy tales, including Rapunzel, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, Jack and the Beanstalk, and 3 Billy Goats Gruff. Simon is voiced in this game by Chris Berry, known for his roles in Red Dwarf and the British Empire. Several different versions of this game were created. Originally came out on floppy disk in 1993, and then 2 years later, right before the release of Simon the Sorcerer 2, they went back and redid the whole game with voices and released it on CD-ROM. The Amiga version of Simon the Sorcerer received generally high ratings. CU Amiga rated the game 90% and praised the high-quality graphics and how much fun the game was to play. Amiga Computing gave the game a score of 89% and also praised the graphics. The magazine also enjoyed the puzzles and detail in the game. Both magazines compared the game to Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge, but also pointed out that it is not a copy and is a quality product. Game Ranking states the PC version of the game has a rating of 86.3.
We still got like 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this was not a long Wikipedia article.
Okay. Fair enough. It's a fair call.
So, anyway,
Cool.
Simon the Sorcerer.
Yeah.
So the plot of this game, now that we're getting into it, basically you play a guy named Simon.
Just an average guy.
Average British dude living in, 90s Britain, whatever that was like.
In like a suburb, question mark?
In the
He
burbs.
has a room with a bed, and some posters from some bands or something.
Right. So he goes looking for his dog in his house, and the dog is up in the attic. The dog has found an ancient spell book. And Simon picks up the spell book, and he's like, what is this? He starts reading it, and he inadvertently he inadvertently whooshes open a portal to another dimension. He goes into the portal and finds himself in Magic Land, and immediately gets kidnapped by goblins, and they try to eat him alive, but he miraculously escapes. Mm-hmm. And then he runs all the way across town to a wizard's house, a wizard named Calypso. And Calypso has left a note for Simon informing him that he's been selected to participate in a highly dangerous quest to rescue Calypso from the evil sorcerer Sordid. And so Simon sets off on this magical fantasy adventure to become a wizard and rescue Calypso and defeat Sordid.
Yeah.
And if you can, cogently remember that is your goal as you play through this game, you're a better player than I am.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly,
That's
it gets so deep that I just forgot.
Yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio would be proud. With the depth,
you just kind of forget what you're doing as you're going through this game.
Tree. You have to go deep.
But yes, let's start with the positives.
Okay, I have a positive.
Anton, what did you think of this game?
Okay, so I really, really liked the music. I thought it was really top notch. I'm kind of a sucker for melody heavy or ballad type soundtracks or just tracks and songs, and that was the entire soundtrack for this game. So I was grooving along for the whole time. It was great music. The writing was really good. I liked all the voice acting, especially the guy. There's this one guy who did the troll on the bridge, and he did the souvenirs guy, and he did one other voice. He has a very recognizable voice. He sounds sort of like John Candy, but on sedatives. And I was just he was my favorite voice actor in the game. But otherwise, all the voice actors sounded very professional, and I liked them all. The writing was really sharp. I thought it was all pretty funny and entertaining. And I felt like even the world was really sprawling, and it helped to give it a really cool sense of place and atmosphere, because you'd just be wandering around in the woods and you see wolves running past, or you see a squirrel climbing a tree. You get all these random little touches that don't really need to be there for the game to be a game, but it makes it a lot more makes the world seem a lot more alive and fun to explore. Yeah. So
I'm sitting here trying to figure out. I know the voice actor you're talking about, and I'm trying to figure out. He was one other voice.
He was.
That kind of got on my nerves.
I'm trying to place where I heard him though, because
I feel like it was in the last third of the game. Towards the end, I feel like he
was he
again.
the dragon.
Oh, I think he probably was the dragon, but that's not who I'm thinking of. See, the reason I the troll on the bridge stuck out in my mind was, I don't know what your game settings were like, but mine, the music was turned up so loud I could barely hear anything he was saying.
Well, yeah, he's very soft spoken.
He was just like, "Oh, Billy Goat's craft." You just can't. You could barely hear anything he was saying. I mean, that might have just been me. Like
he was okay on my sound system, but he definitely skewed toward the quieter side of things.
right.
So
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything you just said. The graphics were the big thing for me that stood out immediately. Like you said, like there were so many cool little graphical details that they threw in there that they, weren't necessary for the game, but it just made the world feel a lot more alive and like animated. Like woodland creatures kind of dancing around in the background, and ducks swimming around in a duck pond, and it was just a very beautiful game. Like the backgrounds too were really nice. Like the whole thing was just really. They had an amazing art team. It was really, really.
Can I just say though, they took the expression "rock face" to heart. Every exposed stone surface in the game basically
That's true.
has a face in it somewhere. It's like
Right.
there are 100+ faces. There are probably 200+ faces. There's so many faces. Like once you start looking for them, they're everywhere. It's like, why are there so many faces? I don't understand. So now that I've spoiled the game for you, you can't go
There
back.
are rock faces
There
in
are
this
rock
game.
faces.
Spoilers.
It's like it's ruined forever. You can't not see the rock faces now.
I noticed a couple, but I didn't like actively.
They're everywhere. There's like this subtle like shading on the rocks. You'll be looking at it and be like, wait, no, it's a face. No. There's screens with like 5 or 6 faces, and I'm like, stop, you guys, get a grip, man.
I would say I think that the possible downside to having like the environments be so lush and have so many animations, it felt like there were a lot of like non-important screens that you had to walk through, which that was good for world building to make it feel like you're actually walking through this magical land, and it wasn't like there was one screen per character kind of thing. But at the same time, it felt like it took forever to walk to where you needed to go.
Yeah.
Like they give you a map in the game, but the map never like fully fleshes out every single place that you could jump. It just picks a couple of common like intersections where there's a lot of roads that meet. And so some screens took a while to get through, like the Swampling's house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But nothing's ever more than like 4 screens away from one of the map points. Like, it can be up to four screens away, which is kind of a pain when you need to get to the Swampling's house.
I resorted to putting ScumVM on speed mode to get through some of these screens.
I was enjoying the music so much I didn't care. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, the music was great too.
Was
I like the
It
music.
was so
It's very
good.
catchy, very nice to listen to.
Very whistleable. You passed the whistle test.
Definitely. So yeah, visually and orally, this game's great. The game's voices were great too, except for like the couple that we already talked about. Like by and large, all the voice acting was top notch. Especially Simon. Simon is not annoying to listen to.
Yeah, that's really important.
Right.
It's like in Gemini Rue, Charlie's voice was kind of on the edge. Like yeah.
Charlie. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie didn't actually say that much.
He didn't say that much, which is probably for the best. So some games have main characters that are voiced badly, and it's like, oh, hard to play. But Simon was very entertaining to hang around. You feel like you're hanging around with this cool guy.
Yeah, and the humor was really good too.
Yeah.
I liked all the dialogue options.
I liked the offbeat verb choices too. That was fun.
Oh yeah, right. They kind of go for the LucasArts kind of scum interface, but they use like a different set of verbs.
Yeah, they don't have like
which are
push and
less
pull.
common. So they have consume and wear, which actually do get used more than you'd think.
Yeah, it's more tailored toward the puzzles that they have in the game.
Right.
So you don't just get some verbs that, like you do in Maniac Mansion, which are used like maybe once or twice.
Right. But yeah, going back to the dialogue options, one of the things that I like about adventure games is games that will have dialogue trees. They give you a bunch of like nasty, rude options.
Yeah.
Like you're talking to a character you're supposed to be commiserating with, and there's like all these really rude options that you can say.
Like there's a polite option, and then
right.
and then there's just all these options that's like so sassy. It's just even if you don't click them, it's great to just read them.
Right. So yeah, I enjoyed all the character interactions that Simon had with, other characters of varying intellect.
Mhm.
You came across some characters that are just really, really stupid that you could be really rude to and not feel bad about.
Uh-huh.
Like, well, yeah, I don't want to spoil any
Mhm.
specific puzzles, but yeah, there were a lot of really funny interactions with other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I overall I really, really like this game.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed the puzzles and the humor, and it was just a very like professional, polished presentation.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to go into the spoiler zone immediately to talk about problems, because they're just specific things.
Yes, I said earlier I enjoyed the puzzles. That was just kind of a broad,
Well,
huge brushstroke statement about the game.
there
By and large,
were enjoyable puzzles.
Yes,
This game
there were
had
puzzles
some,
that I had fun with.
there were definitely
that were
puzzles
satisfying.
that they clicked and you're like, aha.
Right.
You get some of those. Get some of those.
Get some of those. Then you had some other puzzles that did not click so much.
Okay. There were so many puzzles that were extremely arbitrary, and like, or it would have done the game a lot of good if they dropped a couple more hints in there, like where Simon would prompt you, "I need to do X." Then you'd be like,
Right.
then it wouldn't be such a pain.
Right. I also had considerable difficulty with the fact that I didn't realize that there was a hotspot finder in this game.
Oh yes, we need to talk about this.
There's a lot of pixel hunting in this game. This is like one of the cardinal sins of adventure games, is games that have pixel hunting. There's a lot of tiny, minuscule objects that need to be picked up in this game, many of which look like they're part of the background.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not using Hint Book and you're not using the hotspot finder, pretty much you have to resort to gliding over every pixel on the screen and hoping that something will pop up.
No, there's an inventory item that's like literally 6 pixels large.
Like legit, there was one room that I was in this game where I knew that there was something I needed in this room, and I scanned the entire room for hotspots, and I could not find what I was looking for. I had to go get on the UHS Hints, which is the site that we used for hints, and it said, "Oh yeah, just go to this thing on the screen." I'm like, "Where is it?" I looked through the entire screen and I couldn't find it. But now that I knew that what I was looking for is like, oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 5 pixels by 5 pixels.
Yeah.
So that actually happened more than once. So
yeah, I see. I think I had a better experience with this game than Elliott did, because so when I turned on the game, I was like, okay, I want to save and quit immediately. I don't remember why, because I was just turning it on to see if I could. So I started mashing all the F keys, because that's what does it in the LucasArts games, right? I didn't really remember you had to use the postcard. But so just so you know, F10 will put little stars on all of the hotspots on the screen. And this made my game experience much more pleasant, because I knew where all the pixels were. And it's like when you go to the filler rooms on the map, where it's just like landscapes that look pretty, you can know for certain that you haven't missed an item there, because you can push F10 and nothing will happen. And you'll be like, okay, this room is good. So you put a little check by it on your hand-drawn map of the world.
That's the other thing you have to do with this game. This is very much a pen and paper game.
Yeah,
where you have to draw the map.
Super huge.
Make sure that you don't get lost, because like I said, the map in the game is not all that helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to know, where were those woodworms?
Yeah,
you really do need to draw your own map to get through this game.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of same-looking screens.
Right.
And I guess the other reason it's helpful is because there's so many like puzzle threads that it's like, if you're drawing a map, you can be like, okay, this screen, had this thing and this thing on it.
You can kind of check it off when you solve the puzzle.
When you do interact with everything in the room, then you check it off, and you're like, I never need to go here again.
Right.
And it simplifies things quite a bit.
Although that actually did come back to bite me at one point, where I assumed that I was done with a particular character when actually there was more to do. More on that in the puzzle section. Before we go over into full spoiler zone, I want to play a little game.
Okay.
With you, Anton.
All right.
So as we both observed while playing Simon the Sorcerer, I mean, maybe we should go ahead and start the spoiler zone here, because talking about this is going to involve spoilers. As you and I both observed, this game borrows quite heavily from Monkey Island.
It does, yes.
I
started keeping a list.
So, oh man, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay. This has ruined what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to have us go back and forth and see who could come up with more things that ripped off Monkey Island.
I think
So
I may win.
You may win
I
because
may
you
win.
actually
I
cataloged
have a
everything.
list.
So let's go ahead and play the spoiler zone.
Spoilers.
Signpost up ahead. Welcome to the spoilers.
The spoiler zone. Dun, 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 dun. I should do that. I should make a Twilight Zone spoiler zone. thing.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, so now we're in the spoiler zone. We're going to talk about puzzles. We're going to talk about story twists, except Simon doesn't really have that many story twists.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we're going to talk about how this game flagrantly, shamelessly rips off Monkey Island at every turn.
It was
So-
gentle references.
Gentle.
There's an
Homages.
inspired by.
It's sort of like Simon the Sorcerer is our Earthbound series to Upsy Movies' Earthbound Saga.
I wouldn't say it's that close. Like there's a lot of bits that get basically lifted out of Monkey Island, but it does it so sincerely that I can't be angry with it, and it makes
So-
it fit into the world legitimately enough. Okay,
Let me start listing off
all right,
instead of making this a competition. Let me just list off everything I can think of,
all right,
and then you can like jump in with the things that I don't touch on.
all right.
So, in Simon the Sorcerer, one of the first things you have to do is you have to go into a tavern to request the help of some wise old gents in the next room. In fact, one of your conversation options is I want to be a wizard,
Yes,
which is a direct copy of Monkey Island's I Want to Be a Pirate, right down to going into the next room to talk to some, wise mentor characters who just kind of sit there and send you off on your quest.
it's like it's laid out. The rooms are laid out the same way. Even it's like you got the two rooms.
Exactly.
You got the people at tables. You talk to them and have oh so funny conversations.
Mhm.
It's pretty close. You got the fireplace there. It's yeah.
So there's that.
There's that.
The shady geezer towards the beginning of the game reminded me of Stan from Monkey Island.
I didn't think about that.
The two-headed shopkeeper was definitely copying the
Oh yeah,
Fettuccine brothers from Monkey Island 1, the circus guys.
Oh well, his shop reminded me of the shop from Monkey Island 2 with the parrot guy.
Oh right, it was also kind of like that.
It was laid out sort of like that, where you have to mouse over everything and try to buy stuff.
Right. So there's that. The puzzle where you have to climb into a crate to get inside
Yeah,
a fortress.
yeah.
That was direct ripoff of Monkey Island 2.
Mhm.
Actually, they did kind of redeem themselves with that one in a later game, because I haven't actually played all the way through Simon the Sorcerer 3D, but apparently there's a moment in the game where he has to climb into a crate again to get into somewhere, and Simon looks at the camera and says, "This is just a ripoff of the first Simon the Sorcerer game," and then he pauses and says, "And I think those guys stole it from Monkey Island 2 anyway." He just says that in the
Yes,
game.
Okay, good.
So that makes it
That makes it
slightly
okay.
more okay. That makes it okay.
can't be angry at it
if
now.
you draw attention to how you're ripping off other things. What else? Man, my list was a lot longer while I was playing it.
So
I felt like, maybe Anton, maybe you should jump in with one.
well, so I thought that the Swampling's house was like the Rum Rogers drinking contest. And instead of pouring the drink in the bush, you pour it in
You
your
just have to put
specimen
it
jar.
in a jar, right?
And it's on this
That
little
is
outcropping, above a cliff. You have to go through like a trapdoor in the floor to get to find the thing you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
Sorted has a torture chamber.
Right, the torture chamber. The final fight with Sorted was pretty much a pretty heavy copy of the final fight with LeChuck in Monkey Island 2. The fact that if you don't do anything quick enough, he like zaps you and sends you off to the next room, and then you have to come back. In fact, Simon's stance where he's like, "Don't attack me," is kind of similar
It's
to
true.
Guy
It's similar
Birch's,
to
where he
Guy
kind of
Birch's.
puts his hands out in front of him.
Yeah. The Lava River definitely made me think about Monkey Island 1, but it's not really close enough that I can say that they lifted it, because it's more of a Lord of the Rings takeoff at that point.
Right, because you have to throw the wand into the fiery pits of,
Rondor.
quote unquote Mordor. Yeah, I did like all the Lord of the Rings references in this. That
Yeah.
amused me,
That was
especially
fun.
the Gollum thing.
Mm-hmm. The gift shop
Okay,
outside.
I did think of another one.
The gift shop
go ahead.
reminded me of Monkey Island. Never quite placed which part it was making me think of.
Which thing?
The gift shop in the fiery pits of Rondor.
That kind of reminded me.
It seemed like an out of place, like modern
Monkey
thing in
Islandism.
an ancient setting, like they do at the end of Monkey
Right.
Island 2.
Yeah, it did. It did remind
anything
me
in
a lot
particular.
of Dinky Island.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, where you feel like you're stepping into an amusement park for a second.
Mm-hmm. That's not really quite fair, I guess.
Yeah.
And the dancing demons at the end are like the dancing monkeys.
Yeah, pretty much an exact copy of the Dancing Monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
When you're up in the mountains, you were talking about the rock faces. That actually reminded me of the underworld in Monkey Island 1, when you've got the navigator head of Monkey Island.
Yeah.
You're going through all those rooms that have all the face parts on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the faces become more prominent the closer you get to Sordid's tower, and I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything, but they're basically all over the whole map.
You know, I think that there was some mention in the game of how people had gotten turned to stone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Calypso calls you on the phone at the end of the game, and he's like, we've all turned back to normal. So maybe that's what they were going for with why there were so many rock faces throughout the game.
Well, because there are actual statues of people, like, once you get to the snowy area climbing up the mountain.
Right.
I guess that's supposed to be like a Narnia reference. Like
Yeah.
The White Witch. Yeah.
What else?
Hmm.
Did you have anything else on your list?
I don't know. Just thinking about it just now, the part where we have to do the incantation to send the demons back to hell is sort of like doing the LeChuck voodoo doll. But that's not
yeah,
really,
right, because you have to collect all those things.
Yeah, that's kind of dodgy.
Yeah.
It definitely felt like LeChuck confrontation, just thematically, stylistically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
just having to go through, like, the part with Sordid's Tower kind of reminded me, puzzle structure-wise, of, like, when you're on LeChuck's ghost ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see that.
I think we're kind of reaching now. I think we're kind of beating a dead horse.
We got it. We got most of the big ones.
Honestly, just to be totally fair, I think Simon the Sorcerer does stand on its own. There are several moments where you're just like, yeah, that was for Monkey Island, guys.
The scum bar and climbing into the crate, and yeah, I think those are the two big things.
The demon dancing.
The demon dance, yeah, but everything else is kind of close enough.
You know what's funny is Simon the Sorcerer 2, if we ever get around to that one doesn't mimic Monkey Island so much in terms of puzzles. It mimics it pretty closely, though, in terms of story structure. Because the first act of the game takes place in like this like sea coast town, and then like Act 2 takes place on a pirate ship, and then Act 3 takes place on a tropical island. So it's just...
Yeah, and then it gets weird. And so it's basically Monkey Island 2. Yeah, but I like Monkey Island 2 enough that any game that rips it off that well, I can't be angry at it.
Right, I know.
Exactly. It just rips off the finest bits.
Right. So, yeah, before we dive totally into puzzle ranting, I just want to make another blanket statement that I did really enjoy this game. This is a solid game with funny writing, decent puzzles, great graphics, great music. It's, a really solid adventure game.
It's definitely...
All that to be said...
Yeah, it's definitely a game you can look up hints for without feeling ashamed, though.
Right.
Like, have your UHS hints page ready. And feel
or
no
your
shame.
your 30-pound Simon the Sorcerer black and white monochrome hint book available from AdventureSoft.
It's actually only like 8 pounds. You can still buy it from their website. You can buy the Simon the Sorcerer 3 hint book on CD-ROM.
So go do it. Before you play this game.
You'll need it, maybe.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just go for it.
All right. Let's do best puzzles, worst puzzles.
Okay.
What puzzle did you like?
I'm gonna have a hard time picking a best puzzle. I had problems with so many of them. I am going to say, I don't know if I should judge it based on best puzzle that made me laugh the most, or best puzzle that I thought this was really well designed, and I solved it on my own, and I felt good about solving it.
Well, if you have one of each, then I say you should just go for it.
Well, one of my like classic favorite puzzles from like the first time I played the game is throwing the watermelon in the sousaphone, just because it's so stupid.
It's really entertaining to do, though.
The sousaphone screen always cracked me up, like even when I played the game the first time years ago, just because it's like you're walking through the forest and it's happy music, and then all of a sudden there's this guy who's playing a sousaphone really loudly and badly, just kind of like smearing all his noise all over the soundtrack. And then Simon just walks up to him and starts being really rude to him. And then he just refuses to even be on the screen. So I have a soft spot for the sousaphone guy, just arbitrarily. I like that puzzle. I can't think of a favorite puzzle that I just really loved. I mean, I solved about half of them on my own.
Yeah.
On average, I think I got through about half of them, either from just vague memories of playing the game the first time, or actually figuring things out. I think I got through about half of this.
Yeah.
And then the other half I had to go get help with. Let me get out my map. Maybe if I look at my map, it'll jog my memory.
Well,
of a favorite puzzle.
My experience was that the puzzles skew either to be mind-numbingly easy or like ludicrously like arbitrary and difficult. And
Right.
there are a couple in the middle that are like, okay, yeah, this is a cool puzzle. It's like I enjoyed the Milrith puzzle chain, where you had to go get the guy to you had to smack open the fossil rock and then give it to the guy and you find a spot for him to dig for you, and then you just kind of pick it up. You got to get the guy to hit the forge guy to make it for you, and then it's like, yeah. And then you go into the woodcutter's house and you find a pig. You're like, yeah, I found a pig.
I'm looking at my map, and I can't think of anything I just really loved as a puzzle.
Well, how about the password for the dwarf mine?
Well,
That-
see,
they
I
did-
remembered that. I remembered that one from the first time. I knew that there was a rock that said beer on it.
See, I didn't remember. I wasn't really paying attention when you played it the first time. So I enjoyed that because it was like,
Oh, that's another thing they ripped off of Monkey Island. The alphabetical password list is kind of like the Herman Toothrot thing. where he
yeah,
asks you the
but other adventure
philosophical
games
puzzle.
do that. They just have really long lists of things to say.
Okay,
Like Monkey
fair.
Island maybe did it first, but I think I've seen it other places. It's just like funny
okay.
gag.
Fair enough. The dwarf password thing reminded me of Herman Toothrot's philosophical puzzle. Anyway,
Yeah, it's a little ham-handed because the beer rock is like right outside the cave, but it's like
that's one of the instances of pixel hunting. If you don't know to look for
Right.
the rock,
But it's like they don't cue you; you just sort of deduce it on your own, and it's like it's not too far of a leap for your brain to make. But it's like,
right?
so it's kind of satisfying to do it, even if it's not really that hard.
Okay, I thought of one.
Okay,
I liked the puzzle where you distract the bartender and shove the hardened wax into the barrel because that was kind of leaning on the edge. That was kind of leaning on the edge of being really stupidly obscure, but like I was just like, I'm gonna try this and see if it works, and then it worked. And then I got this barrel full of beer, and I was like, yes, I did that.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
didn't get
That's
help.
fair.
So that was okay. I'll say that's my best puzzle.
Okay, all right.
My least favorite puzzle would have to be putting the bucket on the head of the druid
I was
And
gonna say
shining-
the same one.
and shining the light. Okay, so just to give some context here, there's this druid in the torture chamber in the Goblin Fortress who says that he can turn into a frog if he sees a full moon. So naturally, the adventure game part of your brain leaps into action. You think, how can I make a full moon inside this Goblin Fortress? And the way you do it is so stupid and obscure. You put a
worst.
bucket on his head that has a hole in it, and then you shine a
Hot poker.
hot poker through the hole to make him see a full moon.
It's like, what? What? I thought you had to make Simon drop his pants or something. That was what my solution
I
was gonna be.
actually thought the same thing.
I was just like, this is from well. Yeah,
I heard Simon say that doesn't work so many times in the Goblin Fortress.
The truth is sometimes stranger than fiction when it comes to
So that was
Simon
probably-
the Sorcerer puzzles.
That was probably my least favorite puzzle,
Okay.
just in terms of just being so stupid. Like, even when you know the answer, it's like, what?
Yeah, I was okay. So you stole mine. So I'm gonna pick my second least favorite puzzle. Was that you had
Okay.
It was really simple. It was all you wanted to do is get up on the roof of the dragon cave.
Oh yes, I also hated this one.
So so you don't know you want to get up on the roof of the dragon cave. All you know is that there's a boulder that you can click on, and it's like,
Well-
okay, well maybe I need to like tie a rope on it and climb up or something. And you have a rope, but he won't tie it on there. You have a ladder.
You also
and he's
have a
like,
ladder.
It doesn't look stable. I'm not going to put my ladder on that. But what you do is you have to go and pick up a hook that's a hook by itself from the dwarf mine, and then he throws it up on top, and then it has a rope.
You
suddenly.
combine it with the rope.
No, you don't. You just use the hook,
Oh,
and it has a
you
rope
just use the hook?
suddenly magically, and then you
Oh,
can climb
okay.
up on top. And it was the stupidest puzzle.
What made me angry about that puzzle was not just the fact that you had, two other items that would have worked just as well to get up on top of the cave.
But you don't know why you're doing it.
No, well, see, I knew why I was doing it, because you tie the rope to the magnet. See, remember, it's all coming back to me now. You tie the rope to the magnet, but if you go into the dragon cave at like ground level, you're supposed to like try to attach or attract the gold coins towards yourself. But for whatever reason,
He won't
I
use
don't
the
know if it's-
magnet inside the cave.
right, you have to go up on the roof and lower it through like a skylight and grab the coins through the roof. But it's like, except for the fact that the designers had this puzzle in mind, like logically, why would this not work if you were just standing in front of the gold coins?
Also, why does he run out of gold coins? Like, you're pulling out more and more, and then he just says, I can't get any more. You go back into the ground level, and there's this giant pile of coins. It's like, I just move around to the other side of the hole or something. I don't know. How hard can it be, man? Also, he says everyone knows that gold isn't magnetic, and then he proceeds to pick up the gold with the magnet. It's like,
Right.
you're just talking
Well-
about how bad this puzzle is.
That's true. He did. He just kind of like he outed it as a bad puzzle.
But if you say it, then it's not bad. It makes
Right.
it okay.
It's like the puzzle at the end where you throw the matches into the empty, non-flaming pit. He's like, "Yeah, there's no way this is gonna work,"
Yeah,
and
it
then
works.
it works.
Yeah. At that point, so after you get into Sordid's castle, your inventory is reduced, and I think that makes the rest of the game bearable.
Right.
The fact that you have so many rooms and so many items in the first part of the game kind of makes it like feel.
It just makes it really overwhelming.
It makes the puzzles that are arbitrary feel more painful because you don't know if you missed something somewhere else. Because it's like you have no idea. Is there some small like thing of mints in some room that I just didn't pick up?
So, you mentioned the Swampling house earlier.
Mhm.
I want to call foul on the puzzle where you have to put the stew in the specimen jar, simply because when you first go in and you go through the cutscene the first time and Simon sits down and eats the stew, it goes on as though the puzzle will just cycle endlessly, so he'll just keep eating stew forever until you do something.
Mhm.
That doesn't give you any indication that you'll reach a certain point where Simon will just refuse to eat any more stew.
Mhm.
See, I didn't know this, so after the first go-around of eating stew, I'm like, oh, I'll put some stew in the specimen jar. The thing is, he won't put the stew in the specimen jar unless you've already exhausted him from eating stew.
See,
So it's like,
I,
you have to sit there and make him eat stew over and over, and then the character will just refuse. I'm not going to eat any more stew. And then at that point, he puts the stew in the specimen jar. So I'm like, why?
I think that was that and the sousaphone puzzle were the only puzzles I remembered from when you played this game the first time.
hmm
So
The other thing I need to complain about is
Okay.
why there are so many trapdoors and secret passages in people's houses. When I said earlier that I thought I was done with a character, when you give the woodcutter the Milrith axe and then you go in and get the wood peg out of his house, you assume that's all there is to do.
Well, there's a hook and there's a fireplace, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
obviously I hang something on the hook, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I was
right.
thinking the same.
Get a
I was
pot
thinking
or
the same
something.
way.
Like, do I get it? I was like, okay, I need wood for the wood lice. I'll pick up wood out of the extinguished fireplace. Take it to them.
Right.
But no, you move the hook, and suddenly there's a secret passage to your wood shelves that doesn't need to be there. And I'm all for there being random, stupid secret passages because that's awesome. But it's like there really needed to be more of an indication of how you get down there, or more of a sense-making way to do it than just push on this hook. Like if it had been like a loose brick in the back of the fireplace, it would have made so much more sense. You'd be like, that is totally fair, and push in the loose brick, and be like, yeah.
Right.
But no, that was one of my other least favorite puzzles.
Yeah, that one kind of annoyed me just because there was no logical indication in the game that I had to move this hook to. Oh, so there's a secret passage in this average woodcutter's house. Silly me.
Foolish player.
What else?
Okay, here's one. Using the Rapunzel repulsor pig on the truffle door.
Right. I actually got that one. I didn't have trouble with that
I
one.
had so much trouble. I was like, what am I doing with this pig? I have no idea what to do next. I can't solve any puzzles. And I got a UHS hints, and they're like, well, obviously use the pig on the truffle door. And I was like, ah.
I don't know. That one made sense to me.
Okay. Here's another one. Killing the snowman by eating mints. Mints are associated with coolness and cold in my brain. Who thinks of mints as fire?
I don't know. Oh, can we say that's another Monkey Island ripoff, is having breath mints?
I don't think the act of having breath mints can be.
Okay, fair enough. I'll lay off on the Monkey Island connection.
Although I actually admit I did think about that.
So last night, Anton was trying to get through the rest of Simon the Sorcerer, and it was really late. And Anton, I considered recording this because I thought it was kind of funny. Anton was in kind of a grumpy mood just because of other stuff that had happened that day, and he was playing through Simon the Sorcerer, and I'm trying to gently nudge him in the right direction with the snowman puzzle. He gets so mad when he finally realizes I can't see what's going on because I'm working on other stuff, but I hear him say, "Wait, why am I suddenly eating breath mints? Wait, why am I breathing fire? This is the worst puzzle."
It's like I literally said use mints on snowman, and it didn't do it. It's like you guys, how was I supposed to know to stand on this screen and consume mints? It's like the worst. Okay, here's another one I hated. Once you get the wood out of
Can I go next?
Okay.
I have one more.
Once you get the wood out of the woodcutter's house, and you put the they said they wanted mahogany, so that's fair. So you get the mahogany, you give it to the wood lice. Now you get wood lice. Little did you know, you have to use the lice on the floor in the Rapunzel Tower on the floorboards.
Right.
And I'm like, I have a handsaw. I could just saw through the floor. I tried this earlier because you can highlight the floorboards. So I was like, I need to get through the floorboards. I have matches. I'll just light it on fire. That'll be good. None of these things work. Any of these things could work, but you have to do it with wood lice because wood lice.
I think this would be a good juncture to talk about a general problem with adventure games. This is not unique to Simon. I feel like most adventure games, you reach a certain saturation point where you get so many items in your inventory and there are so many puzzles that you start to see puzzle solutions where there aren't any.
Yeah.
Because your items are so generic that you could use them in other situations where the game designers didn't intend you to.
Right.
And there's just so many, but because they saturate the game with so many items and so many puzzles, they can't think of every possible thing that the player might try. So it ends up feeling frustrated when, like you said, you're in the tower and then you have all these items that could help you get through the floorboards, but none of them work except for wood lice. So I don't know. Those just a side.
No, yeah, I mean,
lots of games
true.
have this problem.
And it's just sort of I mean, LucasArts games were usually very good about this, with a couple of exceptions. Usually you don't have this issue where it's because they throttle it down, so it's they give you a chunk of rooms that you go through, and then they take away some of your items, and you go to the next chunk of rooms.
Right.
And you just keep the most relevant stuff. And they're pretty good about keeping it focused.
I think also they had a pretty good variety of puzzles to where
right, there weren't things.
The action that you have to perform for the puzzle is unique in itself. That the chances of you trying to use the wrong item that could work, are a lot lower.
That's true. I feel like I had some other general grumble I was going to have, but I don't know.
So earlier I was mentioning there was a room that I was going through that I scanned the entire room for hotspots and I couldn't find anything. In Sordid's Tower, you have to, when Anton was saying, you have to perform this spell to send some demons back to hell.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find a mouse.
Oh yes,
So
this was
I
the
knew-
stupidest puzzle. Like
I knew what I was looking for. I knew I was looking for a mouse hole. That was obvious. I was in the room with the mouse hole on the screen, and I scanned the entire screen looking for the mouse hole, and I could not find it. And I had to go to UHS Hints to make sure I wasn't crazy. They're like, "Yep, it's in this room." I'm like, "What?" So then I go back, and then I'm like, "Oh wait, there it is."
Can I talk about the fact that they say you need a human skull for the?
And there's a human skull right there in the same room, and you can't pick it up.
Yeah. Also about the fact that to get the
Sorry,
mouse, you
I
have
thought
to
you-
put a sock in a bag, and then that makes a mouse come. I don't know why.
Well,
it's like you use
that
the
one-
bag on the hole and it doesn't work. You hold the sock up to the hole and the mouse comes out and tries to eat the sock, and they're like, "Why is this happening?" So I put the sock
Well-
in the bag, and I'm like, "I have a mouse."
See, because if you look at the sock, Simon says it smells of 1,000-year-old gorgonzola. So you're like, "Oh, this sock smells like cheese."
I didn't.
So I knew-
I didn't think to do
I-
that.
I knew I had to use the sock to get the mouse, and then I kind of worked from there to think, "Oh, well, I need this bag to." Sorry, I said I was gonna lay off the Monkey Island. You remember the puzzle in Monkey Island where you have to catch the mouse
No.
in
When,
Monkey Island 2?
when does this happen?
In on the Scab Island in Monkey Island 2, when you have to catch the mouse with the Cheetos.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Sorry, I feel like I'm reaching again.
Well, I've got one. It's the witch duel. It's exactly like sword fighting, sort of.
Yeah, except they don't give you any training.
They don't
for
give
what
you
beats
training,
what.
and there's no indication of like. You just kind of get lucky.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Also, this is not really a complaint against them because they could have just used the same sound library. But the zoom sound effect,
Oh,
when
yeah.
Simon turns into a mouse and goes through the mouse hole, that was from Day of the Tentacle.
No, there's another sound also somewhere else in the game that I noticed, but I don't remember where it was. It
Yeah,
was toward the end of the game.
but yeah, that's not really a complaint or anything. That was just something I noticed. I was like, oh yeah, that sounded like Day of the Tentacle.
There's also a little bit where, like, once you get into Sordid's Castle before you return to normal size, that I was really struggling with the interface.
I had a lot of problems when you were in the garden.
Yeah.
When you're trying to get across the puddle.
Like, to get the lily pad to the shore so you can get on it, all you have to do is say pick up lily pad, then he'll jump in the water and pull it to shore. But it's like, if you say move lily pad, that won't work. And it's like,
right.
he falls off of the
The faucet.
faucet handle involuntarily every time you climb up. So I'm like, okay, do I need to try to find a way to sit up there, or is he just trying? Are they just trying to tell me that there's nothing I need to do sitting on top? It's like, what?
I also like that you make that sail for the lily pad, but physics-wise, it's like, how does this sail even work?
Yeah. It's like,
It's like,
okay.
what's holding it up?
It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's very silly. And then you get eaten by the
Also,
frog,
the-
and it
the
plays
puzzle
like a
with the
30-second animation, and it's like, what am I supposed to be doing here when I keep getting eaten? But
You have to go
did-
find that tiny little tadpole.
well, I found the
like,
tadpole because I had F10, my old friend F10. But it's like, I don't know. I finally figured out you can press escape to skip over the little animation of him being naked. Because
Oh, I didn't realize
he
that.
would shuffle back over to the side, and it would take like 20 seconds every time, and I'd be like, I just want
I
to try
know.
again. I want to try a different verb.
I had to turn Scumvium on speed mode again every time.
It was bad.
That animation takes so long.
It was ridiculous.
And it wasn't even that funny the first time.
I know.
They make you watch this 30-second animation of Simon being naked.
It's like, okay.
Anyway, I think the mouse hole was the last thing I wanted to rant about.
Yeah.
Because
I think I've gotten most
that
of my,
whole-
my puzzle gripes.
and I mentioned earlier you have to have a human skull for that spell that you need to cast, but there's like a ton of skulls that are in easy reach inside
Mhm.
the castle, but like they don't even deign to make them hotspots. They're just parts of the background. You have to go find this other specific skull that they had in mind.
Yeah. And then you have to poke it off the ceiling with the spear or something. It's like, okay.
Right.
Maybe they're all, the rest of them are like animal skulls, like ape skulls and things, and you just can't tell because they're all small pixel piles.
Oh.
There you go. I figured it out.
Figured it out.
I solved that puzzle.
Maybe we're actually just complaining about nothing, and this is all just like
We're just bad at video
Cultural-
games.
This is all just cultural references, part of Great Britain that are just getting lost in translation for us dumb Americans.
We're just dumb Americans.
Dumb Americans.
Oh.
So I think I'm done. I think those are all the puzzles that really irritated me.
Yeah, mostly.
I did have a hard. See, this is something else.
Why
that
did they
probably
give you
didn't
that
have
WizKid
trouble.
wallet if you only use one item from it?
I mean,
Why did they talk? I guess they had to have the joke of all the goofy like kid fun club subscription stuff that
right.
you used to be able to get.
And I think that they were maybe. I said I was gonna stop. I think they were maybe riffing on Monkey Island, how like you get all that pointless tourist stuff that everybody gives you throughout the game. Like Stan loads you up with all of that junk that like you end up not needing any of it except for the compass. Anyway, yeah, like I said, by and large, these are just individual puzzles that just kind of really irked me.
Yeah,
and I felt like the game
there are a lot
wasn't
of
really
puzzles
being fair.
that are. Sorry.
I felt like the game wasn't really being fair just because of the saturation we talked about earlier, where it just it gives you so much and asks you to solve so much that it just kind of becomes. And I was doubly lost because I didn't realize that there was that hotspot finder. So this is something else that you probably didn't have trouble with because you had the hotspot finder. The screen where you have the two cliff faces and then they're like the vines that you can crawl down to get to the Tolkien Society down in the valley. I knew that was there because I remembered it from the first time I played the game. I didn't realize all you had to do was walk two vines and then he would just climb in. I was trying to use the ladder to get down there, use the rope, use whatever, just use it on the chasm. But I didn't realize that there was this little patch of vines on the bottom left corner of the screen. All I have to do is walk to them.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, they had to make it a hotspot, or else you'd like never realize you had to walk to them. But it's like,
well, I didn't even know it was there because I didn't have the hotspot finder.
There are a lot of puzzles that would have been incredibly painful, except that I lucked into them completely. Like I had the whistle when I went to talk to the troll on the bridge, and I had the swampling stew when I went to go talk to Gollum.
Yeah, see,
it's like these are awful puzzles, but it's like I just got lucky, so they weren't awful for me in particular.
This is a different kind of complaint that I have against the game's puzzles, is that there were certain points in the game where they were just unusually merciful to you, where they would hand you the solution. Like when you're talking to the troll, and he says, "Is that a whistle?" And then they just like lead you directly into the solution to the puzzle. I was already kind of thinking along those lines. Because it's like, I'll use the whistle to get my giant friend to come help me. But they just hand you the answer. And it's like, why are you being so nice here and you're so hopelessly cruel?
It's just like, it's like some of the puzzles are ridiculously difficult, and then others are just like, fall out of bed easy.
Right.
Like when you go into the little hut, and once you use the repulsor on the truffle door, you get the little smoke machine, and you get the beehive hat, and then the beehive is outside, and you just use them, and then it's like, okay, that was like ridiculously easy.
There was no thought involved there at all.
It's not really a puzzle at that point. It's like there was not, I mean, they didn't really have a sense of balance about crafting the puzzle design.
Right.
But I will just say, if you're willing to if you're willing to walk through it with like a guide or whatever, it is a sincerely entertaining game.
Yeah, I think like I'm willing to forgive all of the insane puzzles for the fact that it's so funny and the fact that it's so nice to look at, and by and large, you can forget about the bad puzzles. There are a lot of decent, fun puzzles in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend this game. I think that it's, rightly hailed as a classic. It's just got a lot of problems.
It has problems that kind of drag the game down, but if you're willing to cheat, then it's a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you had to assign
I really
a letter,
like the music.
What?
What? Oh, I was gonna say also I really like the music.
Oh yeah, you said that already.
Yeah. I was just going to say it again.
It's so nice, worth saying twice.
So, yeah. I'll say it again.
Whoa.
The music was so great.
So if you had to assign a letter grade to this game, how would you rate this game?
I would give it a B.
I was also thinking in the B range. I was going to give it a B plus.
Yeah, okay.
I think the amount of polish that this game has kind of like gets you past some of the problems that it has with its puzzles.
All right, that's true. I am not considering in my rating system the truly terrible adventure games that do exist.
Well, so like the A range is like every LucasArts game,
except
for the dig. Yeah,
and maybe Zack McCracken. Yeah,
or Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade.
Okay, but most LucasArts games, yeah.
Anyway, I think we mentioned this earlier. Simon the Sorcerer is still readily available, but not just for PC. You can also get it for your iPhone. And your iPhone.
Yeah. iPhone.
I don't know how you would get through it. Like, you thought picking up things like the rock that says beer, and the shopping list were bad on a computer screen. I don't know how you'd do that on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the matchbox and the.
Yeah, you'd pretty much be totally reliant on a hotspot finder of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, hopefully they include that. But
yeah, definitely worth picking up. Just make sure you've got a guide handy.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Pretty great.
So, next time on Threepcast, we are going to be... So, next month is October. So that means that we need to be ramping up for Halloween. So we're going to do a spooky horror game in honor of Halloween. And we are going to kick off our first Halloween-themed episode with one of the most infamous horror games in the adventure game genre, Roberta Williams' Phantasmagoria. This game was somewhat infamous when it came out because of how controversial it was. Apparently, it got banned in Australia.
Places, right?
You can't even get this game in Australia because it's so offensive. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I've heard different things about it. Some people say it's a classic. Some people say it's Roberta Williams' best game, including King's Quest VI. Which would shock me if this game was better than King's Quest VI.
Yeah, because that's a really solid game.
Other people say that this game is not aged well, that it was a disaster in terms of game design. Yeah. It kind of came out at the cusp of like the FMV craze in the mid 90s when everybody figured out that they could include actors and full motion video in their games. So,
as well as bad CG rendered scenes.
I've been morbidly curious about this game for a really long time just because of how disgusting it looks. No, I'm not talking about the violence and the gore. I'm talking about like the backgrounds that are rendered like mist level or worse. And then you have these like actors on a blue screen that are superimposed into these fakey looking like CG backgrounds. It looks so weird and bizarre.
It's gotta be great.
It's like, it's almost like someone might almost do this today and just make it a deliberate art style just because it's so odd.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
So I'm looking forward to it on that level.
I bet that. Yeah,
I'm anticipating it being bad. Like, we ranted a lot about Simon the Sorcerer, but Simon the Sorcerer is, widely hailed as a classic. It's a fun game. I'm not expecting to have fun with this. I'm expecting it to be bad and groan-worthy.
I'm expecting it to be a grind. Like, it's probably really long.
It came out on like 7 CDs, but that may have just been because of all of the animation. So, okay. We're gonna suffer through this game for Halloween. We're gonna suffer the spooks for you guys. If you want to jump in with us, suffer with us through Phantasmagoria. If you want to send us your reviews of this game, if you kind of disagree with us leaning towards saying this is going to be a terrible game, send us your thoughts about Phantasmagoria to podcast@ridgewayfilms.com, and we will...
It is also available on Good Old Games,
right.
at least.
Yeah, if you want to play with it, or if you want to play with us on Phantasmagoria for the podcast and then send us your thoughts, it's available on Good Old Games for $10.
I
So
think
yeah, it's readily available, which it wasn't for years, but it's available now. So yeah, that's next month. Send us your feedback for Phantasmagoria. Do we want to talk about future episodes after that? Because we kind of got the schedule booked for quite a while. Just to give people a taste of what to look forward to. What's to come for the rest of this year, at least. In November, we're going to be recording our 9th episode. So we have scheduled to play the DS classic adventure game 999, which, as I understand it, that's not actually the name of the game, right?
It's like Zero Escape, 9 Hours, 9 Doors, 9 Persons, or something.
So because it's the 9th episode, it's going to be 999.
At Phil's behest. Yes. It is a reasonably solid game. I enjoyed it. I'm interested to see. It's one of those games that you play it and you enjoy it, and then you get very angry at it, and then you enjoy it again, and then you're like, who else can I induce pain and suffering upon? So Elliott is our next victim.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. And then the last episode of the year, Anton's requested that we play The Cave, which is the Ron Gilbert designed Double Fine adventure game, direct control Maniac Mansion spelunking thing.
Just to say, it's a game that basically needs to be played multiplayer. Like, you gotta have 2 people.
Can you get through it in one sitting?
On the couch. Yes.
Okay, so maybe what we should just do is wait till we're all together, and then.
That's what I was gonna say. We should just get together some weekend and binge. Like, you can. Well, see, the thing is, you can play through the whole game in one sitting, like in 2 to 3 hours. But then it's like each of the characters has their own little story, so you have to play
multiple times to really appreciate it.
Yeah, to get everything that there's
right.
To see. Yeah.
So yeah,
but it's really good. It's very.
So we got Phantasmagoria, we got 999, and we got The Cave. So
what are some of the other games we talked about? I don't even remember.
Well, after
what's on the nebulous.
When we get into next year, then it's a little bit more fluid. We can kind of move stuff around. We're kind of set for the rest of this year on these games, but games that we've talked about playing for next year include Broken Age, because we keep referring to it. Shadowgate 64, which Anton discovered. Beyond Zork, which is another full motion video travesty. The Curse of Monkey Island, because we want Phil back.
Okay.
Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, which, come on, everybody loves Phoenix Wright. Resonance and Deponia, which both of those Anton recommended. And Gabriel Knight 1, which Anton also recommended. Yeah. So, those are games we're considering playing in the coming months. If you have suggestions for us, send it to podcast@ridgewayfilms.com and we will consider it, as long as it's not Leisure Suit Larry.
We will give you a number, get in line. Leisure Suit Larry, you get number infinity.
Right.
Yes. So,
we will see you guys next time after we have completed, hopefully, Phantasmagoria.
Or else we will come back and complain about how we couldn't finish it.
We just couldn't bring ourselves to finish it.
One of the two. You will be in suspense for the next month-ish.
Yes. So, we will talk to you guys later.
Keep it.
I never know how to wind these down.
Keepy
Didn't Phil have some?
Keep on.
Didn't Phil have some little thing that he used to say on the old episodes?
He did. I don't remember.
Keep on adventuring or something, or never stop clicking. I don't know.
We'll just go back for one of the old podcasts and just cut off a clip of Phil saying
okay,
it. Okay,
that's how we'll end it.
Here.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Keep adventuring.
Really?